dat ek hierdie tyd kry om met julle te praat. We have just been talking to the parents of Tazne, the little girl who was brutally killed. We met with her father, Terence, and her mother, Carmen, as well as the aunts and the other relatives. As you can see, I've been accompanied by ministers from our government. The Minister of Social Development is here, Minister Zulu, the Minister of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities, Minister Ngwana Mashabane. The Minister of Justice is also here, Minister Lamula, and I've also got deputy ministers here, Zizi Kotwa, and I've also got other key officials from government, from my office, but we've also got the Provincial Commissioner of Police here with us. We are here. We've also got the Deputy Minister Holomisa. We are here to come and pass our condolences and pay our respects to the family of the deceased little girl. Our hearts are very sad indeed about the untimely death of this little girl who was brutally killed. She was brutally killed by somebody who was released on parole. He should never have been released on parole. It's quite clear to us that a big mistake was made in having him released on parole, because after he was released on parole, he came out and committed murder, and that shows that there is something wrong with our parole system. It shows that there's something that went horribly wrong, because things were never supposed to work out this way. People who are released on parole are those people who should demonstrate very clearly that they have moved away from their criminal activities and criminal past. And in his case, he came out of parole, and the parole board should have realized that this was not a candidate for release on parole. We are very sorry. I stand here to say that we are sorry as the government that a person who was never supposed to be released on parole was released. We are sorry about that. But this will never take away the pain that all of you are feeling here. We know that as a community, you are feeling a great deep pain about what has happened, as you must, because the problem of gender-based violence, when violence is also perpetrated against women and children, when children are killed by men and when women are raped and also killed by men should come to an end, and this should never continue to happen again. Now, because you are angry, as we all are, Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. I know that you are feeling deep pain as a community. You are feeling so much pain that you want that those who kill young children and who kill women and who rape women should be given the ultimate sentence of the death penalty. I know that's what you want. But now, I know that's what you want because you are feeling the pain. Now, clearly right now, we have a constitution. Our constitution has determined that there is a right to life, and we are also saying that people who are found guilty of abusing women in the form of raping them and killing them must not be released on bail. They must stay in jail, and they must never ever come out to live amongst us again. That is what we are saying. Now, the women of our country have made that very clear to us, that this is what they would like to get the government to do, and this is the call that we make to our courts, so that the judicial system should heed the pain that the people of our country are feeling, and that once any man is found guilty of rape or femicide, that is killing a woman and killing a child in the way that Tazne was killed, there must be a refusal for bail. So in this case, we would say this man must never get bail at all. And we are saying we would like his trial to proceed very quickly, and when he's found guilty, he must never see the light of day again, because he has perpetrated a very terrible crime against the people of this community and also against a young girl whose life he has ended in a most cruel way. Now we are taking steps at government level to make sure that we address this challenge that our country is facing of gender-based violence, the raping of women, the killing of women, and the killing of children. Our people are tired of hearing stories of young girls being killed, the women of our country being killed, and obviously we want this to come to an end, and we want this to end now, not tomorrow even. We are taking steps to strengthen the criminal justice system. We are taking steps to make sure that the government does everything that it can to give protection to the women of our country, and that if, for instance, they are ever in a situation like this, they should know that government must and will be protecting them. We also heard that there was a complaint that was raised that the police did not respond as quickly as they were supposed to. Now, the police are here, they are dedicated, and they continue to do the best that they can. We will be taking up this issue with the command of the police about this issue, because Tazne's parents would like to have a sense that, yes, indeed, they were well served by the government, by all the agencies of the government. And we will make sure that we do indeed give them that satisfaction. We are also now going to try as much as we can to heal the wound that the family is feeling, that the community is feeling. And we are going to give assistance to the family as we go towards the burial of Tazne. We are going to make sure that we give them the support that they need. And we would like to thank you as a community for supporting the family, for being with them, for giving them the comfort and the support that is necessary. I must say that the pain that you are all feeling here is felt throughout the country. The entire country has focused on the death of this young little girl. And we are saying we want to use this moment to ensure that our parole system is addressed and that it changes, and that there should never, ever, ever be a case where a person who is known to be a criminal who will continue to commit other crimes should ever be released by the parole system in the way that this man was released. We are going to pay attention to that. But we are also making a call on the community. We're making a call on all of us that the important thing is that we should continue to support each other, to look after each other. Some of the people who kill our young girls, our young children, some of the people who commit crimes against the women of our country are known to us. They're walking around in our communities. Some of them we know by name. Some of them we know as we look at them. And we are saying, as a community, let us look after each other. Let us support each other. And when we see certain tendencies amongst those people who might commit those acts, we must immediately report them. Because it is important that as a community, we hold hands together. As a community, we must be able to come together like this and support one another. The little girl's death must not be just a flash in the pan, a moment when we get together and look at this. We must be engaging in activities on an ongoing basis to root out gender-based violence in our communities, to root out those who perpetrate rapes against the women of our country, also to root out those who commit certain crimes against the women of our country. And I'm saying that it is important that as South Africans, we should double up and make sure that each one of us, we are alert against those who perpetrate violence against women and children, and take steps to address this issue. On our part as government, and the Minister of Justice is here, Minister Lamula, he has assured me that the parole system is being looked at closely, but we are now going to do it even more vigorously after the killing of this little beautiful girl, Tazne. We are going to make sure that the parole system is revamped. We look at it closely so that we'll never ever have a situation like this happening again. I would like to thank Carmen and Terence for the moment that they've spent with us, explaining to us the pain that they are feeling, but also expressing to us that they want us to make sure that this does not happen to any child ever again, where a person who has been released on parole participates in a murder like this. And we join them in expressing this wish. I want to end by saying the pain that you are all feeling, we are also feeling. Now we want to thank the reverends, the religious leaders amongst us who have been comforting the family. The religious leaders who also took time to come and explain to me also exactly how this whole matter
And you're watching President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking there in Cape Town. Aldrin, as we were seeing visuals there of the community gathered, President Cyril Ramaphosa saying some very sensational things, especially when it comes to the murder of Tazne Van Wyk. He was saying that, first of all, that the suspect should have never been released on parole. We had the Justice Minister here yesterday who admitted finally that the justice system, especially with regards to parole, is problematic, and that they are going to review it. President Cyril Ramaphosa apologizing to the family and the community there. So he and the Justice Minister are there visiting the family.
And I have to say, though, after listening to the conversation that you had with Minister Lamula, was it yesterday?
Yesterday,
yeah. And you think about when someone is released on parole, is that person released on parole in good faith, that this person would adhere to all the parole conditions and this person would make sure that he goes to the regular visits that they must make at various police stations? And how do you ensure that that person does that?
What the Minister was saying is that, especially in the Western Cape, that they've realized that there are problems and they are working on them. In this particular case, the suspect had been convicted. Apparently he had 11 other prior convictions, and one of them was of killing a child. The suggestion is that it may have been under the same circumstances, but most importantly was that he absconded after being released on parole in 2018. So he didn't meet the conditions for which he was released on parole. He had to check in with his parole officer. When you're released on parole, there's set of circumstances that are put in place to ensure that you do not commit crime again, recidivism, to prevent that. But it seems, and this is why the Justice Minister says they are reviewing the system.
And in just a few minutes, we will be speaking to Vanessa Puna from the SABC, who's currently at Alces River, where the President is currently addressing community members there. It's expected that the community members will also raise issues around the socio-economic conditions of that community.
Absolutely. So right now, let's